Macmillan here. Sixth time doing this. Yeah, okay. Not so nervous anymore because it's my sixth time. Disclaimer, I'm sick, so sorry if I cough. I'll try and do it off the screen so you can't see me. Sorry if I get a drink of water. And I promise I'm not on those pills, so I'm not weird right now. It's going to be professional, as I usually am. So, I'm doing The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. That's the book I read. It's a pretty old book. You can see it's damaged up, scrapped up. But yeah, and I'm comparing it to the book we read in class, Life of Pi by Ian Martell. So, before we get into the books, I just want to give a background check on Ernest Hemingway because I do believe that it affects his books, as it would with any writer. But, yeah. So, Ernest Hemingway, all his books have a recurring theme of this tough guy, nitty-gritty, fight through it to the end and never give up kind of attitude. This did spark a lot of controversy with feminists because at that time period that he lived in, he portrayed this through men because at the time, not saying that I agree with this, but women were thought of as more housewives and just meant to stay at home and take care of the kids, clean the house, all that kind of stuff. So they weren't really supposed to have the relentless perseverance and stuff because they didn't have goals or, as people thought of. I'm sure they had goals, but yeah. So I think the books are in a bunch of different settings. I know they are. I was going to say another point, but in this book, it's off the coast of Cuba. Sorry about that. Off the coast of Cuba. He did lots of traveling in his lifetime, so I think that's why his books are in many settings. But, yeah. So, he went through lots of events in his, horrifying events, to be fair. On his way to Africa, he got in a plane crash. On his way back, he got in another plane crash, got injured pretty badly. So that's something that alone takes a lot of perseverance to get through, and, but he was physically affected for the rest of his life by that plane crash. I think before the plane crashes, he was in a civil war for the Spanish. And to be in any war, it just takes a huge amount of bravery. And, he was scarred on the inside by heartbreak. He went through 4 wives. Sad. Hope I don't do that. But yeah, eventually, he died at a younger age. I didn't quite catch the number. I think it was in his 40s, maybe 50s. He was cleaning out a gun, and I'm not sure, no one knows if it was by accident or on purpose, but while he was cleaning out his gun, he did shoot himself. So, yeah. But I think because of his lifestyle, I just did the thing that the guy did in the video. But because of his lifestyle, I think this reflects his books and why they're so tough guy, nitty gritty, and, a lot of his books, the main character or the characters have a small chance of winning or getting through it successful, but they don't give up and they go in swinging, and there's always a chance that they come out on top. And yeah. So just before we I'm gonna give you a background on the book now before we get into it. So it's the story of an old man unlucky old man, I might add, who struggles with a giant fish, a marlin, deep in the sea off the coast of Cuba. And yeah, I think that connects with Life of Pi. They're both, out on the sea, alone, struggling, and yeah. So, getting to the comparing and contrasting of the books. Setting, they're both the same, or pretty much the same, not same places, but out on sea, alone on a boat. I mean, Pi isn't necessarily alone. He has the tiger and stuff, but I think they can't connect on, like humans could. So I would count that as alone. And yeah, they both go through horrendous struggles, starvation, thirst, and all that. Pi goes blind. Santiago, the main character from Old Man and the Sea, almost goes blind. He gets spots in the eyes, and they both suffer somewhat injury. They're both thirsty. They're both rationing food. Santiago's fishing just like him, but just like Pi. But Pi also had the food that he found on the boat. And yeah, and more of a theme-based struggle that I think is reoccurring between the both is being alone. They both had lonesome struggles. I have quotes for these. In The Old Man and the Sea, I have 4 quotes on page 49. Before I get into this quote, I guess I'd like to just give a little background on the story. In his hometown, there was a little boy that helped him. And I don't think they gave his name. But this boy helped him fish. And for a while they fished, but the old man got unluckier and unluckier. He went on an 84, before this day, or before the day that he catches the marlin, it was 84 days without catching a single fish, or a single, relevant fish that could do something on the market. So the parents of the little boy said, stop fishing with him, we don't want him fishing. But they both really liked each other, so they still hung out, they just didn't fish together. They loved each other. It was almost like a father-son kind of thing, right? So, page 49 in Old Man and the Sea, Santiago aloud says, I wish I had the boy. And, this happens more than once. For example, I think I skipped one, 36. Oh, no, not 36, I'll get back to that one. On 55, if I could get it here, he again says, I wish the boy were here and that I had some salt. The salt thing is unrelevant to the theme here, but he keeps on wishing that he had the boy. He wants to share the experience with someone, and I think just, someone to share the experience with, someone that you love to share the experience with. Just like Pi, very reliant on his parents. He loved his parents. For example, Pi, for the one chapter, I can't quite remember the page, but he sung Happy Birthday to his mom, alone stranded, tried to guess it. I think that shows a certain amount of love, that he would try and guess that and even in that time of in that dire situation, he's thinking of others. And same with him. Through the struggle, he's thinking of others. Page 82. That's 63, 94. Oh, never mind, that's 74. Sorry, I tried to organize this. Page 82. Somewhere over here. I'm sorry. I will just forget that. But it was another thing about the boy. So yeah, sorry about that. But at last, proof of just, being lonely. He starts to keep himself company. In a quote, he says, if others heard me talking out loud, they would think that I'm crazy. But since I'm not crazy, I do not care. And the rich have radios to talk to them in their boats and to bring them the baseball. So, lonely. He's thinking of things that are at home. For example, when he talked about baseball, he's a big baseball fan. Him and the boy talked about baseball a lot. Just talking to yourself out loud, not caring. He says he doesn't care that, and contemplating too. He's not contemplating, but thinking about that he's not crazy. He's just thinking about the whole situation. You could tell that he's alone. He's got time to think. To comfort him of the loneliness, he's thinking of things at home. And just talking to yourself is kind of a trait of someone who is lonesome. So yeah. In Life of Pi, we see loneliness on 118. Somewhere on here. Should have underlined them or something. I think it's this one, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have the wrong page or something, I'm not sure. There was nothing, only rain, marauding waves of black ocean, and the flotsam of tragedy. Now I think it's a bit different for him. He's thinking of the situation, and I think when he means tragedy, he is referring He's referring to the loneliness and all that's happened to him, like his family leaving and all that. And, and all that he has is the nature around him and the setting. He has nothing else to comfort him. Everything that he had back home, unlike Santiago, is gone. Like, remember, the photos all went in the water. He has a few animals with him, but from what he thinks, his parents are dead, or his family's dead, including his brother. And yeah. Also on 232, which nope, not there. Alright. Oh, okay. That's when he sung Happy Birthday to his mother, is on 232. And I think that just represents loneliness. He doesn't have people around him to celebrate, for example. And yeah, or when he's yelling, just up the page, he's yelling into the sky, "This is God's ear. This is God's ark." And I think he's trying to comfort himself and his loneliness. By example, God's ear, he wants somebody to be listening, and that's why he's yelling. And yeah. So I think a big comparison is the one through man and animal relationship. We'll start off with Life of Pi. Obviously, with Richard Parker, that is a huge one. On 316, at the very end, when they end up surviving, at the bottom of 316, "I was weeping because Richard Parker had left me so unceremoniously. What a terrible thing it is to botch a farewell. I am a person who believes in form and harmony of order. Where we can, we must give things a meaningful shape." So this proves that he had some sort of relationship with and feeling for Richard Parker. When he says meaningful, I think that speaks out. He's sad that Richard Parker would just backstab him like that and leave, because he cared for Richard Parker like that, and he, don't know how to word it, but he wanted to be like a part of Richard Parker, kinda, I think. That's how I'm trying to word it. But in short, he cared for him. On 317, just the next page, he's still talking about the goodbye. He said that he'd give him one last look at him in the lifeboat, that I'd provoke him a little so that I was on his mind. I wish I had said to him, "Yes, I know a tiger, but still, I wish I had said, 'Richard Parker, it's over. We have survived. Can you believe it? I owe you more gratitude than I express. I couldn't have done it without you. I would like to say it formally.'" Yeah, so he's thanking the tiger, and he's trying to celebrate with the tiger. And, I don't think you celebrate with strangers you don't know. You celebrate with, people that you shared experience with, care for, and all that. So, he's hurt by the goodbye, but he's very thankful, which, you're only thankful for few people in your life. So, I think that just shows how much he cares for him. So there's a very loving relationship and a respectful one in Pi and Richard Parker. And Santiago and the Marlin shows more of a respect-based kind of relationship. So another friendly one, but it's not quite as loving, because technically these two are battling to the death kind of deal. So on page 46, that's 63. Page 46. Then he began to pity the great fish that he had hooked. He's wonderful and strange, and who knows how old he is, he thought. Never have I had such a strong fish, nor one who acted so strangely. Perhaps he is too wise to jump. He could ruin me by jumping or by a wild rush. But perhaps he has been hooked many times before and he knows that this is how he should make his fight. He cannot know that is only one man against him, nor that is an old man. So he's giving him a lot of respect here and a lot of credit to what he's doing, or the fish. Santiago's giving the fish a lot of credit and a lot of respect. Yeah, he doesn't want to show that it's one old man because he feels that the fish is worth more than just one man fishing him. He calls the fish wise. He pities it, which I know that's usually not a good thing, but in this case I feel it's a good thing because, if you feel bad for something, in this case he's feeling bad because he respects the fish, he cares for it, and if he wants it to go out, he wants it to go out respectfully, kind of deal. And yeah, on 63, he says, I wonder why he jumped, the old man thought. He jumped almost as though to show me how big he was. I know now, anyway, he thought. I wish I could show him what sort of man I am. But then he could see the cramped hand. Let him think I am more than a man than I am, and I will be. Wish I was the fish, he thought. So that was on 62. I forgot to add that one, so I'll go to 63 in a moment. But that is just another respect thing. He wants to prove to the fish that he's worth catching the fish. He's seen the fish at this point, and so he knows how big the fish is. It's about 2 feet bigger than his boat, and it's just a massive fish. But he wants to prove to the fish that he's worth that, and wants the fish to think that he's more of a man than he is, because that's how much he respects the fish and wants to win over the fish. On 63 he says, I'm not religious, but I will say 10 Our Fathers and 10 Hail Marys that I should catch this fish, and I promise to make a pilgrimage to the Virgin de Cobra if I catch him. That is a promise. So, just another thing for respect. I'm not religious, but if a family member was in a hospital, I might pray. I think that's a similar situation. He just wants, he really wants, he respects the fish so much that he would go out of his way to do different things and change the way he is just to catch this fish. He respects it a lot. And on page 74, he says, the fish is my friend too. He starts off with that at the top of the page. So that right there is just straight up showing respect and showing that he isn't just out there for the game, but he's out there for the challenge too. And he likes the fish because he's giving them the challenge. Down later it says, then he was sorry for the great fish that had nothing to eat, and his determination to kill him never relaxed in his sorrow for him. How many people will he feed, he thought. But are they worthy to eat him? No, of course not. There is no one worthy of eating him, and from the manner of his behavior and his great dignity. So just giving him credit again, and trying, respecting him. And it goes back to earlier when he said, he's questioning almost. He's almost questioning himself if he's man enough to do it. And he's saying that none of these people are man enough or worthy enough of eating this fish. They don't have the dignity and all that for this, compared to this fish. And that's why they're not worthy. So just showing him respect again. Someone's playing piano. I don't know if you hear that. I'm sorry. But, yeah. So, last one is the symbolism of Christ, which is big in both of them. Huge. Pi, we all know, is a very religious story. Hinduism, Islam, I think is how, I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but Islam and Christianity. So, there's quotes on that. On 149, where is that? Passed it, sorry. 145. I put these papers in hoping that they'd be good sticky notes, but they're not. 149. So at the bottom of 149 he says, Christ on the cross died of suffocation, but his only complaint was of thirst. If thirst can be so taxing to even a God incarnate complains about it, imagine the effects on a regular human. So he's comparing himself directly to God in that, or Christ directly in that quote. So yeah, he's doing this to find comfort, and just the symbolism is there. He's trying to make himself feel like God and be like God, and I think there's other things that show that. But right now it starts with the thirst and fear. They both have their only worry of thirst right now. On 145, they are out of order, I'm sorry. So this is about orange juice laying next to the dead zebra. The way she's laying as she is, she's laying next to the dead zebra, orange juice. Her arms are spread wide open, and her short legs were folded together and slightly turned to one side. He says that she looked like a Simeon Christ on the cross, except for her head. So, again, and not a quote this time, but a real symbolization and imagery of Christ and stuff, and just, yeah. I think that they're trying to portray this in the book because just to give him and just the boat a religious feeling, to show that that's how he's getting his willpower and his toughness for the situation. I think they want it to be very religious based on purpose in the book, and yeah. So, and the last one is 123. This one's also about orange juice. Yeah, here it is at the top. So when orange juice is getting onto the boat from the bananas, he describes it as this. She came floating on an island of bananas in a halo of light, as lovely as the Virgin Mary. There it is again, right? We're seeing things on the boat show comfort through religion, like as lovely as the Virgin Mary. He's being comforted in seeing something like that. And I think that's just trying to reinforce the fact that he is finding his willpower and his comfort on the boat through religion. And yeah. In the last one, although they're not connected, Pi is more of he's finding comfort through it. I think in Old Man and the Sea, they're more of they're trying to get the reader to see Santiago as a really good guy, as a guy who it never gives up, like Christ. He never gave up. He turned defeat into triumph and stuff like that. So there's no specific quotes in there, but by the end of the book, he personally seems to resemble Christ more and more. So, his hands get cut from holding on the line of the fish. Sorry. Oh, that one hurt. So, that represents crucifixion, being nailed on the cross. And yeah, Santiago, at the end, when he returns to his island, after, a very long trip on the boat, he's struggling with the mast of the boat going up the hill. This represents, hold on, let me see what it's called. I'm not very religious, so Christ's march towards the Calvary. And then the last one he like at the end of the book, flop is a bad word. He lays on his bed, but the way he does it, he's spread out like the crucifixion. I don't think his head is exactly right, but that's how it was described. Well, they didn't directly say he flopped on his bed like Christ, but yeah, that's how he was laying. And I think this all represents crucifixion and the struggle that Christ went through. But, you know, in his journey, he shows transcendence by turning, you know, loss into gain and defeat into triumph, like I said. Just like Christ did. And I think that's how he resembles Christ. So that's all I have. In short, I think they're very similar books. They both have a recurring theme of not giving up. They both don't give up through different things. I think, you know, Pi goes through religion. I think Santiago does it through, you know, respect and love. You know, he wants to be remembered at his hometown. You know, a little boy, he wants to make a little boy proud and all that. That's why he keeps thinking of someone. And yeah, they both relate through the setting, the struggles of loneliness and starvation. Sorry, I don't want somebody to come in and I have to restart, but, you know, they both have the animal relationships through the tiger, or in Old Man and the Sea, the marlin, and the symbolism of Christ. And yeah, so sorry that this took so long, but I'm done now. So yeah, I hope the long pauses don't give me bad marks and all that. I know they will, but, you know, maybe I could, like, I don't know, $5 under the table or something. Maybe that'll take away those marks. But yeah, see ya.